Welcome back to the news on a very slow post-E3 week. However, there are still things to talk about. We'll start with a little thing that I missed from my E3 wrap-up, which you can watch here. There's a card there. I missed out a game which is actually a remake of Metroid 2. It's called Metroid Return of Samus, and it is coming to 3DS later on this year, I think. No release year, but it'll happen at some point. This game is basically just 2D Metroid, but in a modern style. It is Metroid 2, so of course, why not? To be honest, this sounds like a really fucking good thing. I'm more excited for this than the next Metroid Prime game that they announced, that's for sure. Nintendo of Spain have announced a sort of the collector's edition, and they tweeted a photo of it. Was it a tweet? No, it was just reported. They've revealed an image of what the Legacy Edition looks like, and it looks like this on the screen right now. So with the game, you get a steel case that looks like a Game Boy cartridge, a soundtrack, a keyring, a badge, and an art book. Now, for those of you who are into collector's editions, myself included in some respects, this might look very appealing, and in fact, it looks very appealing to me as well, especially that steel case. That looks fucking fabulous. However, no price has yet been revealed, so it might well be well priced at like £50. It might be awfully priced at like £80–90, but we don't know. There is also no sort of indication as to whether this will be released outside of Europe or whether it will be a European exclusive. For me, that doesn't affect me at all because I live in Europe, but I would feel kind of bad for everyone who lives outside of Europe because this looks pretty damn sweet. There is currently a game on early access called Playerunknown Battlegrounds. A terrible name for a game, but a game that actually looks pretty damn good. It is basically Battle Royale, the video game. It's a big deathmatch, last one standing wins, and it has just sold 4 million copies. That 4 million copies translates to almost $100 million worth of sales, which is frankly astonishing. Even as I speak, the Steam Summer Sale is going on. This game is not on sale, but it is still top of the charts on the Steam top sellers, which is really... This game is so popular. Of those sales, 24% of them were based in the US, 19% in China, 6% in Germany, 6% in Russia, 4% in the UK, and all the rest. More than 100,000 sessions are being played daily, and the game has peaked at apparently 230,000 concurrents on Steam, which is quite frankly amazing. This goes to show that if you have a good concept for a game, you can launch it into early access and get very, very good sales. This seems to be, so far, an example of early access done right, because they seem to be updating the game fairly regularly still and supporting it entirely. Hopefully it'll release as a full game and I might get it at some point and play it, but that depends on the money situation. Paradox Interactive. Interactive? Yes. The publishers of games such as Pillars of Eternity and Cities Skylines have announced that those two games in particular are going to be coming to console. According to Paradox, both titles have been redesigned to be more console-friendly, and they have been given more console-friendly UI and other such things to compensate for the fact that, especially with Cities Skylines, their control schemes don't necessarily translate to controllers particularly well. Cities Skylines is expected to launch on August the 15th, and Pillars of Eternity is expected to launch on August the 29th. So if you don't have a PC and like the idea of either of those two games, now might be a good time to go and pick them up. It isn't, however, all good news for Paradox Interactive, as they are in the news for a different reason. This time they are in the news because of apparent price hikes of their games in European markets. Paradox made the defense that their prices had remained very much the same for years and that they were just increasing them to match with the sort of sales strength of the markets that they had raised the prices on, such as the UK. This is a pretty weak source excuse because, to me at least, games should not get more expensive as time goes on, not a particular title anyway, and it should always go down in price just a little bit after it's launched. For, I don't know, about 6 months it should maybe go down in price because then you'd get a few more people on board who couldn't afford it the first time. However, Paradox have not done that, and they've been rising their prices since May apparently, and they've faced a lot of backlash on it and now have apparently made a U-turn on that decision. They have, however, said that they cannot make any sort of U-turn on this decision effective immediately on Steam because it would mean taking out any game that they had on sale, and they'd have to lower the price, but then it couldn't go back on sale once they had adjusted it accordingly. So for the next few weeks at least, while the Steam sale is on, the prices are still slightly raised, but they should come down. This is the, obviously, not the sale price, the base price should then come back down a bit after the sale has ended. I think this is a good thing. I'm all for game developers adjusting prices of new games in accordance with the sort of territories they're selling in, because of course the pound in particular has taken a bit of a nosedive recently, so that kind of makes sense. However, once a game has been out for a certain period of time, I don't think you really ought to be raising the price. You ought to be lowering the price to attract more people to buy the game. That's just my opinion on it anyway. Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered. That game is a remaster of one of the most critically acclaimed and probably definitive modern sort of grey-brown shooters of all time, and it was released last year, just sort of ball and chain style tied to Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, a game which was received middlingly at best. So if you wanted to get your hands on the remaster, you had to pay $80, £80, $100, however much it was for the deluxe edition of Infinite Warfare. Now, getting on for, what is it now, 8 months after Infinite Warfare's release, there is finally going to be a standalone release of Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered. Now, Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered, that name is really long and really annoying to say. There has been quite a lot of controversy surrounding the remaster, particularly in regards to the fact that it has microtransactions, and the fact that for some reason in a remaster, instead of giving you all of the content, you have to re-buy some DLC that was originally released for DLC, but for more than it originally cost as well. You might think with this standalone release that Activision could at least address one of those issues. They probably wouldn't take microtransactions out of it because it's Activision, but you'd think they might at least learn from the backlash they got from selling DLC maps and just include those in the standalone release. But no! You still have to buy the maps for, what is it, £15 when they originally cost £6, even if you compensate for interest. I think it might have been £8 actually, but that still doesn't cover it. So, still not a fan of that. However, if you wanted Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered, but you didn't want to have Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, now you can buy it on its own. Well, soon. It's coming out on PlayStation first, and then at a later date in the future, it is coming out on PC and Xbox One. As seems to be a sort of tradition with Call of Duty games, as far as I'm aware. I might be wrong, to be honest, because I don't generally keep up with it, because I don't give a shit. There was a little indie game that released last year, you might not have heard of it, called Overwatch. Oh yeah, I'm lying. It's a big-ass budget game that sold loads and I still haven't bought it for whatever reason. Overwatch is getting, or has got, an update that changes how the loot system works. The loot system was one of the most heavily criticised parts of Overwatch for being very sort of encouraging people to pay money to get the loot that they wanted, due to the sort of amount of duplicate items, and when you got a duplicate item it just sort of got rid of that duplicate and turned it into a small, very, very small amount of currency. If you want some more maths on that, Yahtzee Croshaw actually did a bit of maths regarding it. I might try and look it up and put it in the description below. The change that they are making to the loot system now apparently drastically decreases the likelihood of an item you will get in a loot box being a duplicate, which is frankly one of the best decisions they could have made. Blizzard have also said that the amount of currency that you will get for a duplicate item being recycled will stay the same, if not increase ever so slightly, so that's also becoming slightly fairer. This news is very welcome to me. I'm not a fan of sort of shady business and all this kind of subterfuge and making it very difficult to not pay. So, you know, making a loot system like this fairer is brilliant. Very good, well done, Blizzard. You're learning. At least somebody is. Beyond Good and Evil 2 now. I talked about it a little bit in the E3 roundup, but again, there wasn't much to talk about at the time. However, there has been a closed-door session with one of the developers and showing off some of the game. Of course, this is a very early demo of the game, but it does look very spectacular, and it has shown that the photography element, which I approve of anyway, and was a big part of the first game, is making a nice return. As the developer played as the monkey whose name I forget, he was around on a jetpack flying around showing us the very, very gorgeous world and all of the things that you can do in it. You can find random things from parts of the world that you might not think of, such as a ship. You can do lots of different things, from buying and selling a pizza to then exploring it and apparently finding some slavery and human trafficking. All of the fun things. That is, of course, where the photography element comes in, and you will be able to take photos of that kind of activity and report it to your superiors because, of course, overall the game does look quite frankly amazing, and even though it's a very early demo, they've made a fantastic job of that engine. They even said during the gameplay that they know full well that the player will try and explore basically everywhere that they can get to, so they are modelling basically everywhere that they can get to. They flew up a large statue during the gameplay, and not a single bit of it was undetailed, and that's one of the best looking statues I've seen for a while in a game. Not that that's saying much, I don't really tend to stop and admire statues in games, thinking about it. On to some rather odd news now. Because E3 is over, most of the gaming press is now looking forward to Gamescom, which takes place in Cologne, Germany every year in August. This year, the German Chancellor Angela Merkel will be opening the conference. Because of course she will. That's a fun little thing. I don't really know why she's doing it. Is she interested in video games? We don't know. She might be, or she might be trying to boost her PR a little bit. Either way, I have no particular issue. Sega! They have done a thing, and it's sort of gone okay. That seems to be Sega's track record, really, for the last 5 years, apart from a few things. Sega have decided that they want a lot of their old retro games to reach a new audience, specifically mobile gamers. So they have released for free under the banner of Sega Forever. Yes, Sega Forever. They have released 5 of their classic games for free with adverts. The games include Sonic the Hedgehog, Comic Zone, Phantasy Star 2, Kid Chameleon and Altered Beast. But those games are at least fairly solid, or they would be if they ran well. I'll get back onto the whole pricing thing in just a second. However, they run very poorly on mobile systems. Even on these sort of high-end phones, top-of-the-range hardware, they don't run great because they have been made with Unity instead of just a sort of standard emulation. According to several reports, there have been massive frame drops in pretty much all the games, and that's not great, to be honest, because you're trying to sell your old games, well, not sell, again, I'll get onto it in a second, and you can't get them to perform well. That's never a good start. If they can fix these performance issues though, I still think this is a very good idea. As much as I don't really play games on my phone, and if I did, I'd probably end up getting some sort of controller that you can use by Bluetooth or plug in. The pricing system, as I said before, it is free with ads, but you can pay to get rid of the ads per game for a one-off fee of £1.99, which, to be honest, if you want to play the original Sonic, isn't that bad, but at the same time, maybe wait until they patch it to perform slightly better. And we will finish with the main topic from last week, and it is still basically the biggest topic around Grand Theft Auto 5 and Open 4 mod taking down awfulness. The saga continues this week, and we've had another statement from Rockstar regarding all of this. Under the question on their support page, are single player mods allowed? They have answered, Rockstar Games believes in reasonable fan creativity and, in particular, wants creators to showcase their passion for our games. After discussion with Take-Two, Take-Two has agreed that it will not take legal action against third-party projects involving Rockstar's PC games that are single-player, non-commercial, and respect the intellectual property IP rights of third parties. This does not apply to 1. Multiplayer or online services, 2. Tools, files, libraries, or functions that could be used to impact multiplayer or online services, or 3. Use or importation of other IP, including other Rockstar IP, in the project. So you might think that sounds amazing, however Rockstar decided to sour the deal a little bit with the rest of the statement. This is not a license. It does not constitute endorsement, approval, or authorization of any third-party project. Take-Two reserves the right to object to any third-party project or to revise, revoke, and/or withdraw this statement at any time in their own discretion. This statement does not constitute a waiver of any rights that Take-Two may have with respect to third-party projects. Now, this statement is undoubtedly in response to the flood of negative reviews that has seen Grand Theft Auto 5 go to overwhelmingly negative in recent reviews and overall mixed on Steam, which is, that's amazing. So this is clearly in response to that. Rockstar have gone up to Take-Two and gone, you need to stop doing this, look at what you've done. And now people are genuinely saying they're going to boycott Take-Two games, and I might be one of them until this sort of dispute gets resolved. It does appear, however, that the developers of Open 4 are in talks with Rockstar or Take-Two to sort of get itself back up online and comply with everything that it wants. The evidence for this is taken by the fact that Open 4 has had a new build come out in the last few days. It is now at build 307, and I'm going to take this as a good sign because, if you remember rightly, Open 4 developers said that they will not be releasing any further patches or distributing Open 4 at all. So this means while everything might not be hunky-dory, something is progressing, and it might mean that Open 4 comes back online, and we might not have to boycott all Take-Two games. But still, this is going to be a black mark against Take-Two for many years to come, I'm afraid. So that's it for the news this week, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. If you did, please give a like and a subscribe, and why not? Because, you know, I'm here all week. Please! Also, slight apologies for the lack of content this week. I've had no time whatsoever. That E3 video took up a very large chunk of it, and I just haven't had any sort of free time to be able to make videos. That should, however, be resuming as normal next week. If you would like to see some more of my content, I do a series on Phantom Dust, which you can watch here. I do a series on... I also do various Let's Plays every Wednesday. My most recent one was on Tokyo 42, I think, and you can watch those here. And of course, you can subscribe here. Please subscribe to me. Please! And also, there is no given date for its release outside of Europe. No, fuck it, fuck everything. This time, it is because of alleged price hikes They also have said that, no, that's just they, the nebulous they.